Welcome to another episode of the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast.
I want to talk about being an embarrassing parent. Because, earlier, Jodi, you were talking about Marky Mark, Mr. Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Went to a father-daughter dance, and his daughter didn't want him to dance around and embarrass her.
She's 10 years old. He's got a bunch of kids, but his 10-year-old daughter wouldn't let him. She begged him, please don't embarrass me. I'm thinking, he's Mark Wahlberg. I know you don't realize what that means to the rest of the world, but probably all the other parents, they were like, it's Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, yeah. Every other jealous husband.
It's father-daughter, so I'm sure the guys were not like, my God, it's Mark Wahlberg.
Well, he's an action hero. Yes, they probably were. Anyway.
I'm from Boston, too.
I like hamburgers.
Boston. Okay.
It made me think about how I've entered the embarrassing parent stage now with my kids. Now, Sammy and Will, who are 25 and 30, never seemed to be embarrassed by me.
No.
At any age at all?
They didn't seem to be. They played along. Okay. But the kids these days, Jackson, who's 16, Maddie and Parker, who are 14, they do seem to like, okay. And the thing is,
they're a different generation.
They are. And the thing I need to learn is when to let it go, too.
Yeah.
Because the thing I do to Jackson is I honk the horn a lot. When I pick him up after band practice at school, it's like, honk, honk, and he gives me that.
Yeah.
And so it's, in that case, honk. And I do it, when I drop him off at his mom's house, I back out the driveway, honking the horn, and it's like, stop.
Kids need to understand, too. Kids need to understand something, too. Any kid listening, I want you to know this sincerely from the bottom of my heart as a mother.
Sam is an idiot.
No parent ever sets out to embarrass you. It's the first time that it happens, the parents are just as hurt and caught off guard as you are.
Yeah.
Like the first time I ever embarrassed Taylor and or Phoebe, I remember them, reacting, and I was like, oh, I was just being myself. Mm-hmm. It used to be okay for me to be myself, but now the friends are in the car, or I'm in carpool or whatever. Yeah. So, and then once it's happened a few times and Sam gets a taste of the power of it, then maybe you are trying to embarrass them. I don't know.
I do go too far sometimes and embarrass them, but I also know when to back off because I know the kids understand me because they've
had you all their lives.
So when you try to be that dad with some of them and another friends are in the car and you realize these kids have no idea what I'm talking about.
Right. So you're just embarrassing context.
I just need to back off and just be okay, what time am I picking you up, Dad?
Yeah, I think that what Jodi and I have seen with Taylor and Phoebe is they're selective about those things. Now, of course, Taylor's 18. She's kind of in a place where it doesn't really faze her at all, I think, anymore.
We're lucky with that.
Yeah. But I remember picking up Phoebe from school a couple of years ago, and she sent me a text ahead of time, and she said, the text said, hey, Dad, please don't be playing music when you pull up.
I've got that one, too.
Because I guess a few times it's been this.
Too loud.
Which is a song she likes,
you
but
don't
not
want to be that
the
dad in
carpool.
Yeah, there's actually something that's gone viral with that, like with these kids being picked up and the mom's blaring music, and the kid is so embarrassed. But mom's driving. You can play what you want.
I also
if you want to be picked up.
I also find that it's different with Maddie being the girl as opposed to Jack and Parker, because Jack and Parker, it's just like
you don't mind jabbing them.
Yeah, but Maddie, it's just like.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Please. I'm sorry. Let me still be your dad.
There is such a different dynamic between, parents and daughters and parents and sons. I know nothing about the sons thing because Murphy and I never had a boy.
Right.
I don't know what that life is, but we've only had girls. But for friends of mine like you, especially Sam, who have both boys and girls, it's absolutely different. It's a different dynamic. Mm-hmm. And I can remember I had that different dynamic with my dad that I ever did with my mom. I'm very close to my mom, obviously, but he was, he treated me like I was a princess.
Yeah.
And I treated him like he was a king, almost no matter what. And I'm sure it was super annoying to my mother. I was lucky for it, though.
Yeah, there's a different relationship, and because of that, the embarrassment is different, too.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to embarrass her more so.
Yeah, because with her, you embarrass, there comes the drama, and it's like, okay.
She takes it more to heart.
Yeah.
Totally.
And lets you hear about it more. Whereas Jack, don't honk the horn, and when I do it, the eye roll and stop. but it's not like it's that big of a deal.
Yeah. I don't think about it as much anymore. But I think out of us, me and you, Murph, I think I would be the one most likely to embarrass myself because for whatever reason that dynamic comes into play. Whatever you do is endearing. Even if it's embarrassing, they're like, "Oh, he's just my dad. He's so funny." You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
when they've had friends over, it's like, "Oh, you're funny and it's
funny
okay
how
for you to be goofy, but not for me."
But the goofy dad joke, sometimes it's funnier when it's just us, and then you could tell that same joke, same setting, same delivery and everything in the setting with friends, and it would not be funny at all.
Yeah, they're on higher alert.
I think I've learned some of that, I mean, if they want to start a conversation about something from the 80s or the 90s, then I'll wait, but I'm not going to do that. Well, when MTV was the thing, right, he's not going there.
Yeah.
The good news is it's a phase. I mean, it's that.
No, it is because I wasn't in that phase when they were little because when they were little,
you were king.
You were king and you were the hero and anything you said was funny. Mm-hmm. Now that they are social, you're an embarrassment.
But it does. It comes back around.
You'll come back around, and when they mature and grow up, you're adults, and then it's fine.
My grandmother used to have a saying that she loved to tell people at church when I would overhear her saying this because people would talk to her. My grandmother was practically a counselor to people,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her telling this story more than once, and I heard it. She said, "Well, you need to understand that it's going to come back around when somebody would be having trouble with a teenager." She'd say, there are 3 stages in a father's life. And she said, it's my dad can beat your dad. He's the best. My dad doesn't know anything. And then the third one being, like my dad always used to say.
Wow. That's
my grandmother said those are the 3 stages of being a father from your child's perspective. Yeah. My dad can beat your dad. He's awesome. My dad doesn't know anything, all the way to like my dad used to say.
Yeah.
So take that to heart.
Well, I'm in the my dad doesn't know anything phase.
Yeah.
But,
Sorry.
But the thing is, you are teaching them that you've got a good sense of humor about things, which I think helps us all get through life. And sense of humor is not just about telling jokes. Sense of humor is being able to laugh at yourself and all of those things. Right, exactly. And finding levity at the moments where it's not always. And Sam's one of the masters of that. I mean, at your dad's funeral, you're standing up there acting like you're tripping with the thing in your hand, the urn in your hand.
And the funny thing about that stuff is that I got all that from my dad.
Yes.
I mean, not to trip,
right.
But
the funny stuff.
From being with him and watching shows with him and movies and in his sense of humor, that's what I got.
Yeah.
And I can see it in Sammy now, my oldest. Mm-hmm. He tries that occasionally.
Uses it.
Doesn't always succeed, but he tries it.
Because he's not as good as Dad.
Of course not, but who is?
He'll get better.
Yeah,
now that he's a dad.
Yeah, he will. But the teenagers aren't there yet.
No.
Yeah.